In this episode of Industrial Industries World Radio, we take a look at Deez nuts and figure what they're all about. And it's all starting right now. Hey ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Industrial Industries World Radio. I'm your host, DJ Glowing Ice, and I am hoping that this audio is meeting you well and in good health and all that. And today, things are only going to get better because we are going to talk all about the history of the term, the phrase, Deez nuts. My experience with Deez nuts, it hit me when I was in 8th grade, and this was in 2001, somewhere around there. I was sitting in gym class, and two of my friends walked past, and one of my friends says to me, "Hey, do you shop at Aldi's?" And I went, yeah, my mom and dad go there. And then my friend grabbed his junk, and he said, "Aldi's nuts?" And after he said that, I kind of sat there and I was thinking, what just happened? I just got Deez nuts. Oh, man. Okay, so that's a thing now. All right. So needless to say, the phrase Deez nuts has been a part of my life more than half of my life. And I felt like it was something to look into. Figure out where Deez nuts all came from, the story behind it, and the popularity of Deez nuts. And that's what we're going to do today. It's a smaller episode, but it's action-packed, and you're going to love it. I promise you that. This is episode 62 of Industrial Industries World Radio. And now, without further ado, let's get into the history of Deez nuts. Deez nuts, spelled D-E-E-Z-N-U-T-S. The phrase Deez nuts means the phrase these nuts, which the phrase refers to a dude mentioning his testicles. The word Deez, instead of the word these, is a slang term, just like the word nuts is slang for testicles. Deez nuts is used as a punchline in a joke after asking an unsuspecting person a serious question. For example, it's report card time, and you ask your parents what they think you have on your report card. When you say, "I got Deez," and your parents reply with, "You got Deez?" Yeah, Deez nuts. It's teenage humor at its best, but it's a classic and funny joke when used in moderation. The history of Deez nuts stems back to the early 1990s, which at first appeared in the 1992 rap album, The Chronic, by producer and hip-hop artist Dr. Dre. On track 6 of the album, The Chronic, the song is titled Deez Nuts, with 3 E's in the D's and 3 U's in the nuts. The song starts with a skit of Warren G calling a woman on the phone and asking what she was up to for the day. Warren G then asks, "Did what's-a-name done get at you yesterday?" When the woman asks, "Who?" the man replies, "Deez nuts." The skit wasn't written or prepared beforehand. It was done right off the cuff, and Warren G simply called a woman who is a friend of his, who was unaware, and he pranked her. As The Chronic was a major success and had gained legendary status, the skit on that song had morphed into its own little world. Listeners of the album adopted it and put their own spin on it and created their own versions of Deez nuts jokes. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of Deez nuts jokes out there, but to give you an example, I'll give you a few right now. Do you dance to oldies? You dance to hold Deez nuts? I heard you like D. D who? Deez nuts. Do you know Bofa? Bofa who? Bofa Deez nuts. Do you like Wendy's? 'Cause you'll love when Deez nuts hit your face. So you're gonna be a goblin for Halloween? You're gonna be gobbling Deez nuts. Back to the history of Deez nuts. In 1993, Two other music artists labeled a track on their albums containing the words "Deez nuts." In 2001, another two artists released tracks with "Deez nuts" in the title. In 2007, in Australia, a hardcore punk band formed who named themselves Deez Nuts. This Australian punk band, Deez Nuts, have released 6 full-length albums and 1 EP, and honestly, never hearing about them before until recently, I checked them out, and they actually really do kick a lot of ass. Definitely recommend listening to Deez Nuts. As Deez Nuts had become so commonplace over the couple of decades after the Chronic album dropped, it was never really focused on too deeply. It was just a joke that everyone was aware of. That was it. In 2015, a user by the name of Welvin the Great posted a video of himself talking on the phone to his dad, and he asked, "Did something come in the mail today? 'Cause something came in the mail today." His dad asks, "What?" Welvin the Great replies with, "Deez nuts?" After Welvin yelled "Deez nuts," he very excitedly laughs and slaps his knee, and then he says, "Got him!" If you didn't catch that, I said "got him," meaning got him. When this video clip went viral, thousands of memes were made with the screenshots of Welvin in the video laughing. Along with that were plenty of parody songs with him saying "Deez nuts" interlaced within the songs. My personal favorite is when Welvin the Great is in the song "Our Song" by Taylor Swift. Welvin started appearing in radio interviews, TV shows, and got shoutouts from top movie stars at the time, like Kevin Hart. Due to the meme age and the internet, the term "Deez nuts" was the hottest it's ever been. The United States presidential election of 2016 was right around the corner. And as Deez nuts was hot at the moment, the phrase made its way as a potential presidential candidate. A teenager, out of frustration of the two big candidates running for president, he used the name Deez nuts as a candidate in the 2016 presidential election. As he was only 15 at the time, 20 years shy of legal age of running as president, it was just an attempt to break up the political landscape at the time, and it was more of a joke more than anything. Late July 2015, the Deez Nuts' form to run for office was filed with the Federal Election Commission. In mid-August of 2015, polls were being conducted in Iowa, Minnesota, and North Carolina. Deez Nuts polled at 8%, 8%, and 9% respectively. Polling with these kinds of percentages naturally got the attention of news channels and other media outlets. As Deez Nuts gained more awareness in the political landscape, the originator of the Deez Nuts skit, Warren G., and rapper Ice-T endorsed Deez Nuts as president. On November 11th, 2015, on his Facebook page, Deez Nuts announced that he was going to run for Speaker of the United States House of Representatives. In mid-August of 2016, a poll for the election showed that Deez Nuts gained 3% of the votes in Texas. Deez Nuts beat out other candidates, such as Jill Stein and Harambe, a recently deceased gorilla who was shot and killed at the Cincinnati Zoo in May of 2016. After everything was over in late August of 2016, the Federal Election Commission announced that in the future, anyone who files satirical presidential candidates will face penalties for fake filings. And after all of this, Deez Nuts has returned to a retirement, but a very active retirement. As new social media platforms have popped up within the past few years, such as TikTok, the parody songs, with the audio from the Deez Nuts video by Welvin the Great, has found its way in an explosion of videos today. These are all done, obviously, to have a good laugh. So starting back in 1992 as just a skit, to becoming almost presidential elect, Deez Nuts have seen quite the journey. And even though some people think that they're above this kind of humor, it's safe to say that their future, their funny moments, and their legacy will never make it as high as Deez Nuts. Got him! as this episode of Industrial Industries World Radio does come to a close, all I gotta ask is this. Do you like CDs? CDs nuts. Anyways, thank you guys for listening to this episode, and if you enjoyed it, make sure to rate it 5 stars or do whatever you do whenever you listen to podcasts. You don't have to do nothing, who cares? Thanks for listening anyways. If you want to get in contact with me, you know where to do it. Email me at industrialindustriesworldradio@gmail.com, or you could always find me on YouTube as well. Comment on one of the videos or whatever. There's plenty of videos up there. There's documentaries, there's food reviews, there's a lot of miscellaneous stuff too. It's a whole lot of fun. So on YouTube, just search Industrial Industries World Radio and we shall be there. This was episode 62 of Industrial Industries World Radio. And once again, I'm your host, DJ Glowing Ice, saying peace out.
See you next time on Industrial Industries World Radio.